Today, we are tackling a topic that, let's be honest, has confused a lot of us for decades: cholesterol. You've probably heard it's bad for you, but what if the story we've all been told isn't the whole truth?
I mean, for years, we were all warned that foods like eggs and butter were just enemies of a healthy heart, right? Like they were a direct ticket to clogged arteries. But is that really what's going on? All right, let's dive into this.
So, first things first, let's get one thing straight. Cholesterol isn't some kind of evil invader. It's actually a natural, absolutely essential substance. It's so critical to your survival, in fact, that your own liver has a little factory going, producing it every single day just to keep you running.
Now here's the thing. Cholesterol is a type of fat, and our blood is mostly water. You know what happens with oil and water? They don't mix. So cholesterol needs a ride. To really get how it works, we need to meet the special transport vehicles our body uses to move it all around.
Okay, so let's meet our first vehicle. This is LDL, or low-density lipoprotein. The easiest way to think of it is as the delivery truck. Its main job is to haul a package of cholesterol from your liver out to all the cells in your body that need it for things like repairs, energy, and making essential hormones. It's performing a totally vital service.
So, you see, the delivery truck itself isn't the bad guy here. The problem is when you get a traffic jam. When there are just way too many of these LDL trucks on the road, they can get stuck, maybe drop some of their cargo, and that's when cholesterol starts to build up along the walls of your blood vessels.
And that brings up a really important question. If these delivery trucks are leaving a bit of a mess behind, does our body have a cleanup crew? How does it handle all those leftovers?
It absolutely does, and that's where HDL comes into the picture. HDL is what you've probably heard called the good cholesterol. A much better way to think of it, though, is as the body's dedicated recycling truck, or maybe even a super efficient vacuum cleaner for your bloodstream.
So here's the crucial part. HDL is an active cleaner. It literally cruises through your blood vessels, scoops up all that extra cholesterol that LDL might have dropped, and hauls it back to the liver to be recycled or just gotten rid of. It's the system that keeps your internal highways clean and clear.
And this little chart just brilliantly illustrates that dynamic balance inside you. You need the LDL delivery trucks to supply your cells, for sure, but you absolutely need that HDL cleanup crew, the recycling trucks, to manage the whole operation. Good health isn't about getting rid of one, it's about keeping the two in the right balance.
Okay, but wait. If our bodies have this really sophisticated delivery and recycling system built right in, why in the world did we spend half a century being terrified of eating fat? Let's unpack what's been called the great cholesterol myth.
Back in the mid-20th century, a really simple message took hold, and boy, did it become a global movement. This fear of dietary fat completely changed how millions of families cooked and ate, and was all based on what seemed like very simple, undeniable logic.
I mean, this idea was so powerful because it was just so easy to understand. You eat fat, it goes into your blood, and it clogs you up. Simple, right? But as we know now, this overly simplistic idea ended up dictating dietary advice for generations.
Well, it turns out that old story completely ignored the most important player in the whole game, your liver. Our bodies have this incredibly sophisticated management system that makes that one-to-one connection, well, just not true for most people.
Your liver is a brilliant manager. Seriously. When you eat food that contains cholesterol, your liver senses it and just dials down its own production to compensate. It's always trying to maintain this perfect state of balance. So for most of us, eating an egg doesn't just add all that cholesterol into our system, our body just adjusts on the fly. So if natural fats, in whole foods like eggs and butter aren't the main bad guys, then what is? Well, modern research points the finger at the highly processed, artificial stuff that's become a huge part of the modern diet. First up on the list, artificial trans fats. These are man-made fats. They were literally created in factories to give processed foods a longer shelf life. The problem is, our bodies have a really hard time processing them, and they're known to raise that bad LDL and lower the good HDL. The second culprit? Excess sugar. And it's often hidden in things like sodas, snacks, and even stuff we think is healthy, like certain breads and sauces. When you eat too much sugar, it puts your liver into overdrive, and that can cause it to start pumping out more of the problematic types of cholesterol.
And third are those ultra-processed foods that fill up our pantries. You know, the things that come from boxes and bags and packages. They often give you a lot of calories but very little actual nutrition, which contributes to the kind of internal stress that drives our next big topic.
The common thread that connects all these true villains is inflammation. Think of inflammation as making the super smooth, slick lining of your blood vessels kind of rough and sticky, almost like flypaper. And that sticky surface makes it way easier for those LDL particles to get stuck and start to form a blockage.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? The key to a healthy heart isn't about living in fear of your food. It's about shifting our focus towards simple, positive, and, proactive lifestyle choices.
Look, true long-term health really just comes down to mastering the basics. Prioritize real whole foods, stuff that comes from nature. Move your body in a way that you actually enjoy. Make quality sleep a non-negotiable part of your routine, and find healthy ways to manage the stress of modern life.
The new science is just incredibly empowering. It lets us stop worrying so much about enjoying a healthy, natural egg for breakfast and instead focus our energy on building a really strong, resilient foundation for our overall health and well-being.
And that really brings us to a final thought. Now that you understand the real story of cholesterol and just how incredibly smart your body is, what's one small, positive step you can take today to support its amazing system?